Hey guys, Sarak here, and today I'm going to bring you my Eldritch branded deck. This is a control deck using lots of floodgates and Mirrorjade to control the flow of the game and lock up your opponent to the point where they cannot deal with the grind game of the Eldritch cards. So, before we get into the deck, if you like my content, please consider subscribing, and let's go for it. We have 2 copies of Eldritch the Golden Lord. He is recursive, he's removal, and he's a big boy. And he does really well in simplified game states, and is very difficult to deal with 1-for-1 destruction removal, because he just avoids it. He hits 35k or 38k when he's in defense. When he's summoned with his own effect, he continuously comes back, and he removes stuff from the field. And he doesn't destroy. Very good card, but endlessly searchable in the deck, so we only need 2. We're then playing 2 Fallen of Albaz as our main branded fusion target. You need to play them, they're very important for the deck, but it's less so than in some other branded decks. But we still want to make sure that we have copies in the deck to send with branded fusion. We're then playing a small Zombie World package, and when I say small, I mean this and Zombie World. Necroworld Banshee allows us to activate Zombie World from the deck when it's in the graveyard, so we can send it with branded fusion. Doom King Baladrock can summon itself in the standby phase if there's a card in the field zone and it's in the graveyard, and then when your opponent activates, when any zombie monster, activates an effect, which all your opponent's monsters on the field will be, you can negate that effect, or banish 1 monster from the field or graveyard, and you can use each of those effects once per turn. We're then playing 3 copies of Pot of Extravagance. This is the best budget draw spell in the game at the moment after Desires, and this deck does not care about its extra deck, so why wouldn't we play Pot of Greed? Very simple other than that. Play Pot of Greed. You've bought the Albaz deck. If you followed any recommendation of any Yu-Gi tuber ever, you should own 3 copies of that card. Then have our 2 spell Eldlichs, 1 white and 1 black. Black summons from deck or hand, but if you control no Eldritch monsters, you have to summon an Eldritch, and then it locks you into zombies afterwards. Branded Fusion only prevents you summoning out of the extra deck unless they're fusions, therefore you can play Branded Fusion and then activate an Eldritch. There is no problem with that. And white does the same, but from hand or grave, and is a quick play spell. And then both of them, when they're in the graveyard, can set a golden land trap directly from the deck. Three copies of Cursed Eldland. Now, Eldland is your searcher, searches Eldritch or Golden Land, and then if it goes to the graveyard, you can then send an Eldritch monster or a Golden Land trap from the deck to the grave. You cannot declare attacks except with zombie monsters. Fine if you have Zombie World on the field, doesn't matter, all your monsters are now zombies. Or if you don't, we can easily get rid of this, and we're not trying to generally win the game in 1 attack. We don't mind just poking with an Eldritch over and over again either. 3 copies of Branded Fusion. You all have seen this card in so many decks all over the internet at the moment. We get to fuse from the deck using Fallen of Albaz. We can put Baladrock in the graveyard, we can put Necroworld Banshee in the graveyard, we can put Eldritch in the graveyard. It's very simple. We're just using this to get out Mirrorjade by making Albion or Lubellion. Very simple, very good. And as I said, locks you out of the extra deck, but doesn't stop you from summoning anything from the deck. We're playing the 1 Zombie World as our search target and as a floodgate that some decks really struggle to play against, like Flunder just loses the game to this card if they don't have spell trap removal. And here's everyone's favourite card again, Mystic Mine. Now, Mystic Mine is really good again in this deck that relies on a simplified board state, and Mystic Mine is really good at simplifying the board state, and as long as you keep your board state simpler than your opponent's, i.e. you have less cards on your board than your opponent does, then Mystic Mine will go a long way to the point where your advantage engine is essentially unbeatable. For our traps, we're playing the 3 Conquistador. This is a removal spell, and if you control an Eldritch, and then obviously they set Eldlichs, and it's a level 5 monster when summoned. We're playing 3 Hawk Arrow. This is Graveyard Hate, and is also a level 5, and has 1800 attack, which is much nicer than the 500 of Conquistador, and also sets Eldlichs. We have 3 Scarlet Sanguine, which summons a zombie monster from deck or grave, but can only summon Eldritch if you control no Eldritch monsters, and then locks you into zombies afterwards. And then you can banish it to set a Golden Land spell trap directly from your deck. Remember, you can only use one of the effects per turn. 2 Golden Land Forever. This is an Omni-Negate if you control an Eldritch, but remember, you have to control an Eldritch monster, but it can sacrifice any zombie monster. But very, very useful card. A Omni-Negate that is searchable and easily set up by cards like Eldlichs, and we can obviously make it live very, very easy through the use of our Eldlichs, or just having an Eldritch stick around on the board. And then we get into our other floodgates. We have 3 summon limit. Cannot summon more than twice per turn. We do a lot of summoning on our opponent's turn as well, so we can usually get around that by just Branded Fusion, make Mirrorjade, set some traps on our opponent's turn, use Scarlet Sanguine and a Conquistador, flipping summon limit. Very, very easy to get around the restriction for us. 3 Rivalry of Warlords. This works really, really well with Zombie World. Zombie World does not change types in the hand. Therefore, if they have a monster on the field, it will become and we have Zombie World, it will become a zombie. And therefore, Rivalry will say they can only summon zombie monsters. If they don't have any zombie monsters in their hand, they cannot summon a monster. And they cannot attempt to summon a monster out of the extra deck either, unless it is a zombie monster. And then finally, 3 There Can Be Only One. The other really, really good Floodgate card that we have access to. 1 monster of each type. We control an Eldritch and a Mirrorjade. That's a zombie and a worm. Really stops your opponents who are playing things like albaz from making things like double masquerade boards. Stops Dragon Link boards from doing things. And makes that really, really difficult for your opponent to play around. For our extra deck, it's a very, very simple Extravagance board extra deck. We have 3 Mirrorjade, the Iceblade Dragon, quick effect removal, that's not hard once per turn, so we can always banish this and summon another one if we have the ability to. Sending Albion lets us search Branded Fusion the next turn, and if it's destroyed, it nukes the field of your opponent. We have 3 Albion. This summons through banishing, and sets branded spell traps directly from the deck if it goes to the graveyard. Then we have 3 Lubellion. This summons through shuffling back and at the cost of a discard. But remember, the monster you summon this cannot attack directly. Oh no, sorry, this card cannot attack directly, not the monster you summon. Then finally, we have 2 Titaniclad as the best generic albaz target. For those occasions, we have to normal summon an albaz. Then, for our links that we won't use very often, but still come up sometimes, we have 1 Vampire Sucker. Draws us cards when we bring back zombies from the graveyard. Sometimes it's very funny because you can tribute summon an Eldritch and turn it into a pseudo lava golem. And yeah, can just bring stuff back from your opponent, draw you cards, and then you just immediately tribute it off for Eldritch or a Doom King Baladrock. Doesn't come up a lot, but does come up occasionally. We have the Light and the Dark Charmer, the best charmers. They bring back monsters for us. Very, very easy. Helps us push for some extra game. Extra damage. Bringing back your opponent's Mirrorjade is very, very funny. And yeah. Not much more to say about that and similar things. And then finally, we have 1 Constellar Pleiades as a useful rank 5 option we can make with our Golden Land traps as a quick effect bounce. So, that is Branded Eldlich. It's a very, very simple deck. It's a deck that's fairly easy to learn. Does have a few fun interactions that you need to learn, but other than that, it's generally fairly easy and simple for new players to pick up. It's not a deck for everyone, but if it is your type of deck, you will obviously enjoy playing it. For upgrades, the first upgrade I would recommend getting would be 3 copies of Skill Drain. This deck does not care one bit about Skill Drain. But most of the other decks in the format do. Skill Drain turns the game into my monster is bigger than yours, and your monsters have 3500 attack and come back endlessly. So, that is the deck. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you again soon. Thanks for watching.